So you want to take your tricking samplers to the next level. One of the most beneficial things you can do is improve your editing skills. The first thing I like to do when I'm editing is choose a soundtrack. Now it's not just as simple as choosing a song you like, as this is going to set the tone for the rest of your sampler. Here are a few things that you can look for to find the perfect song. The first thing to look for is the pace of the music. A lot of people like to use slower songs to start their sampler, as if they're warming up. But some samplers go straight into the action. Personally, I prefer the samplers that have a little bit of a slower start. I think it's better as a whole story. It makes it seem like you're warming up into some bigger tricks. It's also nice to have a mixture of songs to keep things interesting. You don't want your people getting bored. Second thing you should be thinking about while you're choosing your music is the beats. A good solid beat is a great way to level up your edit, as it makes it way easier to sync up your video with the music. If you fail to do this task and the beats don't line up with the music, it can just look like a series of clips with some music over it, which isn't really what you want in a sampler. Now you know what to look for when you're finding a sampler song. I'm going to take you through how I like to find my sampler songs. If you really like a specific song from a sampler that's already been used, you can use Spotify's Go to Song Radio and find the perfect song for you. So here I've got one of Shosei's songs. I'm gonna go to the song radio, and then if you look at the song, gives you a similar song to the one you're looking for. The final thing I like to do once I pick my music is watch the music video. This is a great way to get inspiration for what your edit's going to be, and some of the best editors in the world edit music videos, so it's a great way to see what works with the music. Once you have your songs, the next thing to do is trim and order your clips. Normally a good way of doing this is to put easier tricks at the start, maybe near a slower song, and more hype tricks, save them for the beat drops. Something that can really bring your sampler together and keep it flying is staying in one location for a little while. This allows the viewer to get into the vibe of the song and the location a little bit better, keeps them interested. A great example of someone who does this is Ethan Turner. If you watch his samplers, he's always staying in the same location for a while, and in my opinion, his samplers are some of the best out there. Another thing I like to do when I'm making my sampler is save some hyper clips for the end of the sampler. This way you can get a great outro. You get a nice beat drop, a really nice landing of a skill. A good example of this is Dog Eat Dog World. That's a satisfying beat drop. Let me show you how I trim my clips. First thing I do is watch the clip. So this is the clip we got. And you can see there's a really long intro to that clip, so I'm going to cut that down a little bit. Maybe start like here. Get some of those lights in it. And then pretty much, if the end's too long as well, you can trim that, but I think it's fine. And basically what you're doing here is just making it easier for the next bit where you're trying to line it up to the beats. Right, so I'm going to finish up the trimming and I'll see you when that's done. There we go, all the clips are trimmed. I know those steps are a little bit boring, but they're really crucial. And once we've done them, they're out the way, and we can get onto the fun stuff. The next step is going to be to line up the cuts and the landings with the beats. So you can see on here, we have these little line things in the music over there. And what you're going to want to do is find the landing that you want. Alright, so you want this dub in here. We can line up the landing. So he lands there. Line it up with the beat. And there we go, it's a little bit more interesting. The other thing you can do is line up the cuts with the beat. And as you can see, that makes the sample a lot more interesting and a lot more flow into the next clip. Right, so I'm going to line up all the clips with the beats, and I'll get back to you on the next step. Right, so I finished lining up the clips to the music. I'm just going to show you a little snippet of some good beat drops from a previous sampler.
Migrate till I'm savage.
The next thing I would normally do is add some effects and transitions, but I'm going to leave that for another video. If you wanted, you could leave it at that and just do some effects and transitions, but here are some extra little things that you can do just to make your sampler that little bit more interesting. The first little extra thing you can do is called color grading, and this is basically where you fix the colors in your image. So if you have a look at this image that I've got here, you can kind of tell this black is kind of gray and it's kind of desaturated. So what I would do is go into the shadows, make it a little bit more black, maybe lift up the highlights a bit, and you can play around with all these things until it looks better. It looks a little bit more realistic. Depending on the effect you're going for, you might want that desaturated look, so I think that's what I'm going to go for. But it starts to look a lot better when you fix the colors. This isn't the thing I'm best at, so if you want to see some great color grading, you should look at Ethan Turner's samplers. He's enhanced some colors and he's desaturated some colors, which changes the perspective, changes the focus, makes it seem a little bit more unnatural. Now it's time to do the final step, which is sound design. Now this step's usually underused in tricking, but I think it can add a lot of atmosphere to the story. So what sound design is basically just adding in the background noise of the place you are. So in this place I am at the moment, we're in a city. What kind of noises would there be? That's what you got to think about to add some more atmosphere to this scene. So I'm going to use a site called Pixabay. Go to sound effects, and this is free. So we've got some city background noise. Put that in the background. You don't want it to be too exaggerated. If it's subtle, it's going to be a lot more of a nice effect. If your clip doesn't have much background noise, something you can do is find the landing sound. So if you have a nice spring floor, it makes a nice sound. You get the tuck sound, all the satisfying sounds what we do while tricking. You can take them out, put them in the video, and it will add some atmosphere. Hopefully using some of the tips from this video, you're going to be able to make your next sampler an absolute banger. Make sure to tag me in your samplers so I can check them out, and look out for the next video where I go more in depth about the filming side of making the best sampler possible.